Hey everyone, welcome to Points in the Paint for Fantasy's Sake. I am Andrew. With me is my partner in crime, Sam. For the first time all season that we've, was this fifth episode, Sam?
Yeah,
This show is sponsored now by Yard Barbers. So huge shout out to Yard Barbers for sponsoring the show. We're
shout out
proud to
Yard
have this
Barbers.
sponsor. But we're going to obviously kick things off with the Draymond Green rant. I don't know if many of you saw what Draymond Green was spouting in his post-game conference, but Sam, you want to take over the lead here on this?
Pretty much sum it up. He said when players request to be traded, they're vilified. But if a team decides that they want to trade a player, for whatever reason, I mean the teams are, it's just business as usual. Like that's just the nature of the business. So what Draymond is saying is there's got to be, equal treatment for both, doing those situations. Because like when James Harden, forced his way out of Houston recently, big star, James Harden was vilified. But like a team like Cleveland, who wants to now trade Drummond, pull him from a game, and he can't play even though he's healthy. And then while we were trying to trade you, so yeah.
I agreed with some of what he said, and when I first watched it, I had watched it 3-4 times to really kind of sit there and sift through what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I watched it, I saw it from the fans' point of view, not knowing what the hell he was talking about, because the only time the fans vilify somebody, take the Kevin Durant, going to Golden State. Of course they're going to vilify Kevin Durant because he's going to join an already super team. But in the situation, same thing with LeBron. He leaves Cleveland, goes to Miami. He's vilified for that. There's good reason behind it. But the James Harden, I didn't understand when he brought up James Harden, because James Harden did it to himself. He brought up James Harden when James Harden was he was going out to clubs. He was going out to clubs not wearing a mask. He was found at a strip club without a mask, very much close contact, not following any of the NBA protocols. So I think that one was kind of an unfair comparison.
I think what Draymond is getting at is just in general, whenever a player decides to get traded, they're always looked at as the bad, like it's their fault, like they're the bad guy, they're forcing their way out. They're just always like it's all like it always points back to the player in a negative manner. Like every time a player asks for a trade, but when a team decides to trade a player, I mean nobody really that's not they just say that's just the business talk. That's what Draymond's getting at. I mean, just with any trade in general, even like smaller players, like when they request a trade, all of a sudden that information revealed. I mean, that information shouldn't even be revealed. Like, if a player requests a trade, that should be something that should be private between the player and the organization. Why does that get leaked? I mean, that's just me, but
no, and like I said, that's why I took the time to really watch it multiple times and really understand what he was saying, because like I said, the first time I watched it, I was taking it from the fans' perspective. Like, I didn't vilify James Harden for wanting to leave Houston. If I were James Harden, I would have wanted to leave Houston too. There's no reason for me to be there if they're not going to help me build a team to win a championship. But on the other side, you're looking at it, and from the business side, I get it. I 100% get it, and I agree with him. And when he brought up talking about the player needs to stay in shape no matter what, yeah, the player needs to stay in shape, because you get drafted to go somewhere. You get drafted and you go to Detroit, for example, Sam. You go to Detroit. You don't really want to be in Detroit. You're happy. In my opinion, you should be happy you even got drafted, that you're getting an opportunity to play. And then Detroit says, "Hey Sam, we're gonna move you. We're gonna send you to Memphis. You're gonna go play with Ja Morant and Jonas Valanciunas. You're gonna go to Memphis. Are you jazzed to go to Memphis? I don't know. Maybe you do want to go play with those guys. Maybe you don't like Ja. Maybe you don't like Jonas. I don't know. Maybe you got a problem with Dylan Brooks. it's just one of those things where it's kind of having your cake and eating it too, almost.
Yeah.
Like you have an opportunity to play in the NBA where 10% of the players or 90% of the players don't even make it to. So it's one of those things where I feel like you should be thankful for the opportunity, but at the same time, I feel like the players should also be able to voice their opinion about, hey, if I'm being traded, I want to have a say about where I go. And I think every player should have a list of teams that they're able to say, hey, I don't want to be traded here, or I want to be traded here. And they should at any time be able to change those out.
So that's something that relationship and that situation is something that they're going to have to revisit, which is obviously, I think that was what Draymond's point is. Like, hey, let's really look at, why these situations, they're the same situation, but they always kind of unfold differently. So that's something that, the league and what is it, the NBA Players Association, that's something they're going to revisit. I think he kind of just lit that match, and I mean, it was tactical. It was, how he it was thought out. It was time, and so that's fine. I think just with everything else going on with COVID and the short season, everything being kind of different, how LeBron spoke out about the All-Star game, especially during COVID, it's just, players speaking out about, hey, we want to see change. So really just the players trying to use their power to promote change. I get it. So it's something that I think it'll die down, for the rest of the season at least. But it's something that the Players Association and the NBA is going to work out behind the scenes, and you'll probably hear some joint statement here. I mean, whether it's this season, whether it's off season, at some point addressing this situation. So I'm not going to worry too much more about that. You can just kind of just tell that's what it's unfolding towards. Like it was like a hot topic for 1 or 2 days. Now, like nobody said anything about it today, or I think at all hasn't been mentioned at all. So
yeah, I think you're right. I think
it's just and we've talked about, how the NBA this year has been like, hasn't really been much going on in the sense of storyline. So this is just fits like this NBA season with COVID, like all these little, I don't know what you want to call them, situationships.
No, I definitely agree, but I think this could spark something in the NBA that is an issue, and that it's going to have to come into talks in the next CBA, where the owners and the Players Association come together and have to discuss about, okay, what's in this agreement, what's in this partnership between the two entities that we're both going to follow, that we're both okay with. And I think that is something that players should be able to do. Not necessarily dictate where they're going to go, but at least have, hey, I don't want to go here. Protect, it's something that in business you're always wanting to protect your assets.
Yep.
When you're an owner of an NBA team, those players are your number one assets. So why would you not want to make those assets happy and be able to produce in the best way they possibly can? But moving on from Draymond, we'll shift over to another guy in the West. We had the All-Star voting. There was some controversy about Damian Lillard feeling like he got snubbed from his spot in the All-Star game, but the guy starting over him is Luka Doncic. I don't feel like you can say that you got snubbed when the guy starting over you is Luka. Like Luka plays lights out all the time, and it's one of those.
It's tough. It's tough, man. It's a popularity contest, pretty much. I mean, Luka. I mean, obviously, Luka's a flashy player. He's he's from international, and he's he's been in the league 2-3 years now. So it's tough. I mean, there's only 5 spots. I mean, one of them always is going to go to LeBron just because it's LeBron. So there's really only 4 spots, and then, I mean, it's tough. I don't really. I mean, I guess the older I've gotten, the less I've been more involved emotionally with the All-Star game. It's all like fun, and whatnot. And yeah, granted, Dame's playing some really good basketball and stuff like that. But like if you're a true fan of the game, that Dame's an All-Star, Dame's a superstar. one of the top players in the NBA. You don't need the All-Star game to kind of validate that recognition. So, I mean, unless it's for like contract purposes, or if you make a certain amount of All-Star teams or All NBA teams or whatnot. But I mean, we know that Dame's big time. Like, Dame time. Like, we know that when I play basketball and I hit a big shot and Lamar, I'll point at the imaginary watch in my hand and like do the Dame time thing. Like that's a tribute to him. Like we all know he's big time. So
yeah, I mean, Damian Lillard shouldn't have. I understand him being upset that he didn't make the All-Star team, but I don't feel like that you should have anything in your contract that says I'm going to make the All-Star team and get an incentive.
No,
because it's surrounded around popularity, like you said. It's around one of those things where it's a vote, and half of it's a fan vote. So it's
I didn't even that aspect. I haven't even seen the rosters. I'm looking at it right now too to see who got voted in.
So in the West, we have Steph Curry, we have Luka, we have LeBron, Joker, and Kawhi Leonard. Solid. I don't really have a problem with any of those because they've all played great this year. Maybe the only one I have a problem with is Kawhi because of the inconsistency, and he's been hurt the last couple games, I know. But at the
Zach LaVine made it?
Huh?
Zach LaVine made it?
Not as a starter.
But he's one of the All-Stars this year. Yeah. That's cool. I'm looking at all.
Oh, you're looking at the roster. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it has it broken up by Western and Eastern, and yeah, I mean it's pretty much everybody who I thought would be it. And for like the West, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, yeah, but talking about Force, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. No, I really don't have. I mean, the East, Jimmy Butler made it, but I feel like he's been out most of the year. But yeah, no,
that one I didn't understand, but. When you look at the West, I don't know who else you have that would be that you could say, well, Jimmy Butler made it. Why'd he make it? Kick him off and replace him with somebody else.
De'Aaron Fox is having a good year, but he's not there yet. He's probably another year away from making it.
Yeah.
At the West, Sacramento's been playing lights out, but maybe Zion might make it next year.
I saw pop up today was that Damian Lillard was pretty upset that he didn't get his All-Star spot. And not All-Star spot, but he didn't get
starter.
Yeah,
I don't. These players need this stuff to kind of motivate them. I honestly could care less about that. I'm not gonna watch the All-Star game. Like I'll look at the highlights, but I mean,
I don't watch the All-Star game because it's a score fest. They don't play defense. It's literally who can hit the longest three or who can have the biggest dunk. I will have more fun watching the skills competition, the dunk contest, the 3-point contest. I want more fun watching that than I will
exactly.
Just because it's cool to see them put on those sorts of displays of insane dunks, or he made how many threes in a row? Like that's insane. So that's what stuck out to me.
There's always one disgruntled player every All-Star year. Last year it was like Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. The year before that, I mean, it happens every year. I think, and like last year, I think Alex Caruso was like top 5 at voting at one point, and like he wasn't even in like his team's 9-man rotation yet. He was about to be voted as an All-Star starter at one point. Like he was leading because it's a popularity contest. So I really don't get emotionally involved in All-Star game.
I personally feel like you shouldn't get upset if you're not in any All-Star game, whether that's NBA, MLB, NFL. Like it's like you said, it's a popularity contest, and it's dumb, really, more or less. Because it's not even a competition. You're going and you're playing, and there's no congratulations, you won the game. What happens when you win?
Nothing.
Exactly. There's no trophy at the end that says, hey, the Eastern or Western Conference gets this. The winning team gets this to help. That's what I loved about Major League Baseball when they did the All-Star game, it was, hey, whoever wins gets home field advantage in the World Series. So the players are playing for something. So it was a fight to win that game. And hey, if we win, we get, and my team makes it to the playoffs in the World Series, we now have home field advantage. We've got that upper hand. And I think that's something that the NBA really should look at doing, just for the sole fact to give them
make it more incentive.
That's just me though. I don't know if you agree, disagree.
I agree.
All right. Staying in the world of MVPs and All-Stars, Russell Westbrook with the Wizards. That team is surprising some people with how they've been playing. Would you say they are for real? Last night they beat the Denver Nuggets. A few days ago, last week they beat the Brooklyn Nets. Do you call those flukes, or do you say that maybe this team all of a sudden is on your radar to watch for postseason play?
Nah, that's a fluke. I'm looking at their record now. They're 9-17. They're like the 14th of 16 on 16 teams in the East. They should trade Westbrook and Bradley Beal for as many assets as they can get, and they should just blow it up. Play all their young guys, play Demi, play Ray Hachimura, the guy they drafted a couple of years ago. Just play all their young guys and see what they have, and just blow it up. Trade Bradley Beal and Russ for whatever you can get, whatever assets you can get, aspiring contracts, take on whatever things you can do, and then just look towards the future. Because this team, they're not going anywhere. Just get rid of. You might as well.
I think you could. I think you can get away with trading Bradley Beal.
Westbrook might be hard. Maybe you do it.
Westbrook, I think he stays. I don't think you can get anybody to trade for him.
Maybe a contender.
He's just not one. He's not the same player that he is. Two, he's still the selfish player that he is, and he doesn't fit in anywhere. Where he goes, he wants to be the guy, and he's not the guy anymore. And he's got to figure that out. That he's got to give that up, and he's got to learn to be more of I'm a facilitator now. I'm not the franchise guy. I've got to give some love to Ray. I've got to give some love to Bradley Beal. I've got to give some love to the guys that are surrounding me in order to make this work. And I don't think he's quite ever going to get over that just because of his personality.
If you can find some way to flip him for assets, do something. But yeah, because otherwise, there's no point. He's an aging player. He's 32, 33 now. Just trade him to a contender. Maybe if he goes to a contender where he's like the third best player or something like that, and his roles, and he accepts a lesser role, then yeah, that falls on him though. But other than that though, trade Bradley Beal because you can get Bradley, you can get a nice little haul for Bradley Beal, and then just blow it up. See what play your young guys and just blow it up, and why not? That's exactly what Oklahoma City Thunder are doing. In the West, Boston did that a few years ago, and that's how they ended up with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, and all those other players. They traded all their stars, tanked for a year or two, and acquired draft picks. And now they're set for now and the future. They have how many first round draft picks will the Celtics have between now and 2023 or 2024? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I don't think you can move Westbrook and expect to get a first rounder out of it.
You can get something from Westbrook.
I think it's another role guy. I don't think it's anybody that's gonna,
whatever. So whatever you can get from Russ, you take. You just take, and then those draft picks you can combine those with an expiring contract and get more assets. You just got. There's no point in keeping them on the team.
Yeah,
Now, I mean, he's just stat stuffing if you keep him on the team, especially if you get rid of Bradley Beal. Like, and I mean, he wouldn't even want to be there. Like, put him on a contender. I mean,
I think they picked Russell Westbrook up solely to sell tickets.
yeah, that's what the
They wanted the name, they wanted the recognition, they wanted the popularity. Hey, come see what Russell Westbrook.
So maybe it turns into like a Chris Paul situation where Chris Paul was like in that OKC for that 1 year, and then he got moved to another Phoenix, a contender. Then the following year, that might be it with Westbrook. Maybe then you trade Bradley Beal now, have Russ play out the rest of the season, and then maybe you can keep him next season with the young guys and sell tickets, or you can move him to a contender, maybe work out some kind of buyout or something where you pro. But yeah, you got at some point you're gonna have to move on from him if you're Washington. It's just not an aging guard with the super young team. Like that just doesn't. That's not a fit.
I agree with you, but I just don't think that they're in a position to be able to get much for him, which is frustrating from their point of view. But let's stay over in the East. Let's talk about your team. Well, my team as well, the Bulls. I'm not gonna lie. Last night I was a bad Bulls fan. I shut it off when they were down by 20, and I said, "There's no way in hell that they win this." And come to find out, 5 minutes before the show, that I'm ready to talk about how the Bulls are awful. And Sam's like, "Well, they won last night," and I said, "They what?" And look, sure enough, sure as shit, they win by 3 points. It's incredible. I'm back on the Bulls train, back on the Bulls being on in the postseason hunt, making some waves, at least fighting. Maybe not, making it to the semis, but at least fighting. I just think they're too strong for them right now to be able to get to that spot.
We will see, but I do like to fight in this team, and we're definitely going in the right direction. So that's all I gotta say. We're continuing to go in the right direction, continue to develop our young talent, and we're gonna be there. We're a year, maybe another 2 years away from really, being there. I mean, Boston. I feel like Boston had a bigger window, but Boston's window is kind of closed a bit. I don't know if it's Gordon Hayward leaving, them losing like Horford and some other veterans. I mean, Kemba Walker's health. That's a big thing because their point guard position is a little compromised right now. And then Philadelphia. I mean, if Embiid stays healthy, then yeah. But if not, who knows? I mean, the East is still kind of in a flux right now. But if we keep our core together and time it up with LeBron's decline, eventual decline, at some point, LeBron's gonna walk away. And then suddenly in the NBA, you never know. And I mean, I guess Kevin Durant, in the East is gonna be tough. But I think we have depth. We have depth though.
The Celtics, I did think that they were going to be more of a contender the past few years than they have been. But Kemba's injury has really, really halted their production because they don't. That's a huge guy that they're missing when he's out. I think losing Al Horford was also a blow because they lost that big guy that can shoot in the perimeter. And then, like you said, Gordon Hayward, him leaving, that also hurt them. He was hurt the majority of last season, or was it the season before?
Might have been the season before. I feel like it's been a few years actually.
Yep, I know he was hurt and he was out for a significant period, and then came back, and their offense didn't look like it was meshing as well as it had been. And that's part of the problem that you have is when you have a player that's out, that's a part of your lineup, and then you start getting in the flow of things. Okay, we figured it out. We've found a way around that. Now he's back, and you insert him in, and it's kind of frustrating with that. But no, I do agree. I think that the Celtics are missing their window. But like we've talked about, they have they have several draft picks that they're going to be able to take advantage of, so they're going to be good in the long run.
They'll always be around unless they can use those draft picks and trade for a guard and be right back in it. Heck, if they got like a Westbrook type and Westbrook accepted a lesser role behind Tatum and Brown, like, hey, I could be the third option on offense. If Russ ever did that, and he can give them like 18 points, he'd be solid.
I think we have a better chance of seeing hell freeze over before we see Russell Westbrook accept a lesser role.
Yeah. Pride come before the fall, man.
That's just the thing is what Russ has always been Russ, and he's been even when he first emerged onto the scene, he wanted to be that guy, and it was you have KD. KD is that guy, and Russell Westbrook just insisted that he was going to be that guy. He was going to be that guy, and it didn't work out the greatest for OKC. And then he still had that mentality when he went to Houston, even though you saw that he was on the decline. And it was like Harden is that guy. James Harden is that guy. And you just saw Russell Westbrook time and time again try and be that guy, and he can't. He's not that guy. And he's got to – at some point you got to realize that you're not the guy, and you've got to accept your new role, I think. As much as it hurts your pride, and as much as you don't want to hear it, I think that's what he needs to figure out. So I know we got transitioned off Russ. We got back on Russ. I got my rant back in.
That's fine.
But Bulls, yes, I think that they find their way into the playoffs, and I think they're scrappy, and I think that they put up a fight. And I feel bad for whoever they come up against in the playoffs because they're not going to make it, an easy win. They're not going to be a sweep. It's going to be a fight, and it could go to 5 to 7 games depending upon where they're at.
Dogfight, especially with Billy Donovan as our coach, because he's been battle tested. It'll be good for our young guys to get some playoff experience. Zach and Kobe, in particular, and Markkanen's there, Wendell Carter, Patrick Williams. It'll be good for all these guys to get that experience and that playoff basketball.
Exactly. Speaking of another guy in the East, Julius Randle, who's having an insane year. I mean, he's had good years in the past, but this is a whole nother level. He is playing on a whole nother level than what he's used to playing at with the Knicks. I read a story actually about how when he was with the Lakers and the day that they signed LeBron James, he asked to be an unrestricted free agent. And it was
really?
Yes. So, and I'm reading the article and I had the same exact question. And he explained that it's not that he didn't want to play with LeBron, but with signing a player like that, LeBron's going to want to bring in the guys that he wants to bring in. They brought in Anthony Davis. So Julius Randle saw the writing on the wall. And he said, I don't think I know what's going to happen is I'm going to be the product of a trade to get Anthony Davis, to get whoever it is that they're wanting to get for LeBron. And I don't want to put myself in that situation. So very similar to what Draymond Green was talking about, Julius Randle took it upon himself to make his own decision, control his own destiny, and wound up going over to the Knicks. And that honestly could have been the best decision for his career because he's absolutely flourishing up there.
No, I think it's more so, LeBron coming there too. And in order for him to continue to develop as a player that we see today, he needed to go to a team where he had more opportunities. And so that it was. I remember when that happened, I was bummed out that he was leaving because at the time he was playing some really good basketball for the Lakers. He wasn't playing like this, but he was playing some good basketball. I thought he'd be a good fit with LeBron, and especially too with him wanting the ball in his hands, I get it. And they're both forwards, so he wouldn't be as good as he was if he was playing with the Lakers still. So I completely get it. It's a win-win for both teams. The Lakers ended up getting Anthony Davis down the road, and Julius Randle's playing some of his best basketball. I'm not surprised that he's doing any of this thing now. I think the biggest thing that really that's helped his game is he's more of a playmaker now. He's got the ball in his hands. He can score. He can crash boards. He's tough. He's strong. Down there in the block, he can shoot. nice mid-range game. Now he's actually expanded his range out where he get a couple threes. So he's increased his scoring efficiency, but his playmaking, like him operating from that high post and all the backdoor action that the Knicks run or back pick screens, like he's passing, he turns, and that opens up the offense so much more for the Knicks and stuff like that. So just being willing to make that extra pass sometimes, it's paid off dividends.
And I think he's been able to take what he's learned in LA and attribute it to everything that he's doing in New York right now.
Yeah,
because if he would have stayed, and say he stays with the Lakers and he doesn't get traded, he gets to play with LeBron. I don't think he gets as much, recognition for doing what he's doing as he does if he's with the Lakers.
No,
because he's the product. I mean, you're kind of looking at it from the same view that you view Kyle Kuzma. He's a good player, but okay, well, he's only playing great because he's with LeBron. You're going to have that argument hanging over your head all day long as LeBron's teammate. So if you shift your focus and you go somewhere else and you can start proving that, hey, maybe you're more than just a role guy. Maybe you're more than just LeBron's sidekick.
It's hard playing with LeBron, man. You're playing with one of the best players in the world, and there's just that pressure that that you have to win win out every year. And as I've gotten older, I see why some players struggle, playing with them. I get it now. Because I'm like, this guy's good, but it's just a different kind of, pressure, So I see, it makes more sense as you've gotten older. When you see that, and playing with a big time player in general, like playing with Michael Jordan, playing with Kevin Durant, it could be, but I mean, LeBron's obviously he's expected to win a championship every year. So,
but that's the thing is that do you trade it off of, hey, I get to play with possibly he is one of the greatest players of all time. I get to play with one of the greatest players of all time, or hey, I want to go off on my own and show that I'm, not just my success isn't based off of one of the greats. It's that trade-off, and I don't know what the right answer is.
Sure.
I don't know if there is a right answer. I think it's like you said. I think it's more or less where you're at in your career. And,
yeah, that's a perfect way to sum it up. Where you're at in your career.
Because I think if you're young enough, and I think you can, win a championship or stick it out and go somewhere else, it's tough. So earlier tonight, we had a very interesting matchup that I was personally nervous about because the Hawkeyes have not been playing very well.
Typical Iowa.
Very typical Iowa. Actually, I had a friend reach out to me earlier in the day, and he said, hey, he goes, he's got a promo bet where he just bets the winning team, and he gets $3 per three-pointer that the winning team shoots. And he's like, I want to put it on Iowa. And I cringed a little bit. And I said, I don't know how well they're going to do tonight because they're going up against Wisconsin. And the past few times they've gone up against teams that are competitive, but they should still win against, they have not done so. And so I talked him out of it. And I would have, had I just said, yes, put your money on Iowa, you're going to do fine, I would have been right. And he would have done very well. And instead he put his money on Wisconsin and lost money. So I feel bad for that. I kind of owe him some money, I guess. But in the same token, we're both happy that Iowa won. And I had some frustrations throughout the game seeing Connor McCaffrey play.
A lot of people always bring up Connor McCaffrey.
Because he's not good.
I saw somebody make a really good assessment of Connor and what he does for Iowa, and it made so much sense. I can't repeat what the guy told me, but I mean, Connor just makes, I guess, winning plays and stuff. Maybe or a lot of things that Connor does don't show up on the stat sheet, and he was saying stuff, and I was like, damn, you know what? It makes a lot of sense. And you know what I mean? And he's got size. He's 6'5", and capable defender, lefty too. So it makes sense. And yeah, he doesn't. I mean, he helps us. even though we don't see it or it shows up. But yeah, no, I checked the score at 2 when you said that earlier. And, it's 15 point Iowa win. That's a good win, especially this late in the season. Wisconsin's always a tough out. They're well coached. They're gonna, what I'm saying, they're good. They're traditionally good. So that was a big win, big time win. Hopefully you can kind of ride that momentum, and get CJ back, and yeah, I want to see. Let's see how we do in the Big Ten tournament.
CJ
but
got
I want to see momentum.
Tonight's game. I'm not gonna lie. He got hit in the face a couple times.
He played. Frederick played.
He played. He didn't play a whole lot of minutes, but he was in there every now and again. And it seemed like when he was in there, he was the same scrappy player that he usually is. And it kind of got, to him a little bit because he got hit in the face. They had to stop play briefly for one of them because they thought he, had a bloody nose. So it's just one of those things where it's just like, CJ, just stop, go out, sit down, relax. And
he played 31 minutes, though. That's a lot of minutes.
Did he play 31?
That's what I was looking up on ESPN.
I guess
he played more minutes than Connor McCaffrey.
Well, he should play more minutes than Connor McCaffrey.
31. Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize he was out on the floor that much. But what I'm saying, I watched Connor, and during the game they brought up that he is a guy that fundamentally does everything right. He's the true coach's kid where he's going to run around, make the right cuts, make the right screens, things like that. But the second you put the ball in his hands, it's a gamble. And the times that the ball was in his hands, it was iffy. I watched him throw errant passes. I watched him. He has the most awkward shot I've ever seen.
McCaffrey?
Yes. And for a coach's kid for Fran to allow that to happen is an injustice. That is ridiculous to be able to say, yep, that's my son's shot. It's not anywhere near as crazy as Lonzo Ball's, I'm going to shoot a 3-pointer right from my chest. But it's just an awkward, gangly shot, if you can picture it. And I didn't realize that's what it was until I was listening to Dick Vitale talk about it. And it was interesting. And I get that out of my head.
As long as it goes in, right?
It didn't go in. That's the thing.
I'm just saying, when it comes to shooting, your mechanics, as long as it goes in. I mean, we've seen Shawn Marion. I've seen, some pretty bad. I guess Michael Kill-Gilchrist is really bad, but I've seen some pretty bad shooting forms, and they always go down to, hey, as long as it goes in. At least Lonzo actually has tweaked his form a little bit. I think he's going to continue to tweak it, and it looks a little better. I mean, but yeah, it's as long as it goes in.
It was just wild. It was just like, why is he in there? And I tweeted it out, and I got a like from a Keegan Murray fan account.
Oh god.
Which I didn't know that he had one, but now I'm excited, and I might give that one a follow. But I like you said, I like the momentum the Hawkeyes are on, and especially leading up into the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. I think that they're going to start making some more waves like they did earlier on in the season, and I think that they wind up as a powerhouse in the tournament. Really,
3-game winning streak. Rutgers, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. You got Penn State on Sunday, and then you finish off with Ohio State. Finish off this month at least.
I'm going to discount the 2 wins against Rutgers. And Rutgers was probably the most competitive win that they had before this one, more or less because of how they were playing before. And then they beat a terrible, terrible Michigan State team. That's a program that's usually on every single year, and I think this is a down year for Tom Izzo. Same thing with Duke and Kentucky. They're going to be back in similar fashion next year. I think it's just a change of pace year for teams.
Yeah, everything with COVID is just like kind of just throwing everything into a loop. So anomaly. I see it with Kansas, and I watch a lot of Kansas. The Kansas hasn't been the same this year, so I'm like, you know what? Just chalk this year up and bring on 2021, 2022 season already. But I was a little disappointed though when I checked the recruiting page for college basketball, and I saw like Michigan's got like 4 top 50 guys in their 2021 incoming class committed. Michigan State's got a couple. I think in Maryland, Ohio State, everybody has like guys, and didn't see anybody for Iowa. And I'm just like, man, it's not really a good sign. But
Um,
yeah, what are you gonna do?
I mean, that could change a little bit as well.
I know it's still early, but I mean, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that I think the whole Chris Doyle scandal
Oh, God,
really
that's true.
scared a lot of recruits off from
That's
Iowa
true.
across the board, not just in football, but across all sports.
That's true.
So I think it's something that needs to be monitored. And I know we brought it up last week that he already resigned from his NFL position.
Well, I was even hired in the first place, but whatever. That's Urban Meyer.
With it, but it's
I had no idea.
a
Urban Meyer. I
decision.
had no idea this guy was even being investigated. Like Urban Meyer just like lives under a rock, dude. I've seen him do stuff like that before. like I get, and he has like no idea.
I think he does do it. I think he does it on purpose,
Yeah.
just to see what's going to happen and maybe put some eyes on what he's doing, just so that they stay in the spotlight. Which isn't a bad ploy by any means, but in the same token, it's like, okay, well, now your every decision you make is going to be under a microscope. But that's about all I had to really discuss tonight. I didn't know if there was anything that you saw over the course of the last week.
No. I think we touched on everything, and like always, let us know. We post our handles. Let us know what you guys want us to talk about. I think we're touching on everything that we can, and at least that's everything that's going on. NBA and even NCAA will be interesting as we get closer to March Madness and whatnot. We can talk. We can talk more about some of these tournaments, some of these teams, and look towards the big dance and all the NBA kind of hums along. I think, yeah, an All Star weekend will come and go, and yeah,
I'm so excited to do a bracket. I'm so excited to do.
I think this year I'm just gonna do rant. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I don't even know what to expect this year. We'll see.
Well, that's it for tonight's show. I'm Andrew McKay with my partner
Sam.
Sam, I didn't realize your name was as difficult to pronounce as it looks.
My last name?
Yes.
Want me to pronounce it for you?
Yeah, because I'm gonna botch it.
It's Sam Odeyemi.
Odeyemi. Yeah, see, I would have gone with an I at the end. You would have been like, you sound like an idiot. But
I just politely corrected you.
How many times in your life have you had your last name mispronounced?
Not a lot. Definitely not as much as I thought I would. People will usually like do what you do. They'll stop and they'll ask me to pronounce it before they pronounce it. I was on the phone today. I was on a call today with or yesterday with somebody, and they're like, "Oh, like right there. They're like, say your name, and before you say your last name, I don't want to mispronounce it." And they'll always say that, and then I'll step in and say it.
Awesome. I'm glad I didn't make a complete fool of myself then.
You're good. You're good, man.
But all right, huge thank you again to Yard Barbers for sponsoring tonight's show. We're looking forward to being back next Thursday at 8:30. We'll see you guys then. Take care.
Take care.
Thinking. I think it like froze up on trying to end the show. Having trouble connecting. End it. Check your internet connection. Internet connection's good.